I'm your Master of Ceremonies for this evening. As President of the Arab Student Union here at the University of Michigan-Dearborn, we are most pleased to be once again hosting such an important event here on campus. The Arab Student Union is committed to empowering the youth, and in doing so, we have built a reputation of being a power horse specializing in advocacy. Voter registration drives, lobbying in Lansing, volunteering on election day, the ASU takes great pride in mobilizing the youth and engaging in our civic duties. The forum is a testament to otherwise known fact. I want to especially thank my brothers and sisters from our Fortson chapter of Arab Student Union who have truly been the backbone to glue this event together. I would like to especially thank all the ASU members here at the University of Michigan-Dearborn who also played a crucial role in putting this event together. At this time, I would like to call to the podium the emerging leader and truly an inspiration to anyone that he's come across, President of the Arab Student Union at Fortson High School, Mr. Jad El-Haddouk.
Thank you, Fareed. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome all of you to our Meet the Candidates Forum. My name is Jad El-Haraki, and I'm the President of the Arab Student Union at Fortson High School. I won't take much of your time this evening, seeing as that we have much planned for what seems to be a great dialogue with the future leaders of our Dearborn City Council. The Arab Student Union is an organization at both Fortson High School and the University of Michigan-Dearborn, and it is comprised of a promising new generation of individuals who are dedicated to representing the interests of Arab Americans at the school and community level. Living in a post-9/11 era, such education is needed in order to break down socially constructed stereotypes the media has portrayed regarding Arab Americans. The Arab Student Union has year after year stood up to this challenge by increasing positive awareness of Arab culture. Aside from the cultural events and community services, the ASU has taken an active role in the political world, both within the community and as well as nationally. The ASU not only registered hundreds of students to vote, but we also helped distribute literature, volunteered at rallies, and sponsored presidential debates on campus. We are also able to help out with phone banks, handing out flyers to remind citizens to vote, and canvassing neighborhoods across the Metro Detroit area. Moreover, the ASU helped run students for precinct delegates, placing them on the ballots in the past election, resulting in over 20 newly elected precinct delegates. This evening, the ASU hosts the Meet the Candidates Forum in hopes of educating both students and community members as to who will be the leaders that will shape our city and steer us towards a brighter future. In light of this economic crisis, political scandals, and other issues that plague our local governments, we believe the tests and tribulations that we face today calls for strong leadership and dedication that will allow us to overcome adversity and present a city council for all its citizens. I once again would like to thank all those in attendance and the candidates for taking their time out of their busy campaigning to address the concerns of their citizens. But most of all, I have to ask everyone to give a round of applause to these fine students who have taken time out of their busy workload to make this event possible. Thank you and enjoy tonight's forum.
Thank you, Chad. Well said. Before calling our moderator up to this podium, I want to remind everyone to get involved and to find out what the Arab Student Union does. Get on our email list and get engaged. Without further ado, I'd like to call my good friend and confidant up to the stage, Vice President of the Arab Student Union here at the University of Michigan-Dearborn, as well as your moderator for the night, Ms. Zaina Bazi.
Welcome, candidates, students, and community members to the annual Meet the Candidates Forum hosted by the Arab Student Union. My name is Zaina Bazi, a Vice President of the Arab Student Union and your moderator for the evening. On behalf of the Arab Student Union, I would like to say thank you, candidates, for taking time in your busy schedules to be here. Before I introduce the candidates, though, I would like to take a second and thank all my peers from the Arab Student Union for putting this event together. I do think it's appropriate to mention that on behalf of the Arab Student Union, we have not endorsed a candidate for the upcoming elections in November, and so we thought that an event like the one that follows would be a great way to do so. This forum is a great means to enlighten the students at the University of Michigan-Dearborn, as well as our community members, as to who the candidates are and what they stand for. Although I would like to point out that the fact that this event is useless if we don't go out and vote. And so I would like to urge everybody in this room to please cast your vote on Election Day, Tuesday, November 5th, 2013. And those of you not registered, we strongly encourage you to do so. Registration forms are available. See an ASU member for details. Rashid in the back is waving them if anyone needs any. Okay, so at this time, I'd like to introduce Dearborn City Council candidates in attendance for this evening's forum. To my left, in alphabetical order, we have Ms. Jane Ahern, Mr. Tariq Beydoun, Mr. Councilman David Bazzi, Ms. Suzanne DeBeja, Mr. Stephen Dubkowski, Ms. Sharon Dolmaj, Mr. Mike Zerini, and Ms. Kristen Taylor. Thank you, candidates, for your participation. I would now like to explain the rules for this evening's forum. First and foremost, my vital role as the moderator is to facilitate questions and ensure all candidates in attendance receive an equal opportunity to address the audience. My peer, Mohammed Debeja, Ibrahim Hassan, and Fatmi Ankuni will be keeping minutes and time, ensuring participants and I remain on point and on time, and I won't be hesitant to stop you if you go beyond your time. My other very important role as the moderator is to make certain that the candidates stick to the questions and do not criticize any of the other candidates. It's important to remind you that this is not a debate, it's a forum. So please stay on answering the question from an individualistic standpoint. To begin each candidate, we'll have up to 2 minutes for opening remarks. Following opening remarks, candidates will have 1 minute to answer the prepared questions. These questions were thought of collectively by the Arab Student Union and are of the utmost relevance to our organization. Candidates will be allotted 1 minute for their closing remarks at the end. Our program will include a time period in which members of the audience may submit a question for a Q&A session. As you listen to the candidates, you may write a question on the index cards made available via our screeners, Mira Haida and Dina Atwe. Hold up your hand if you need another form or a pencil. Please note that we would like to avoid questions to any particular candidate, so we ask that you not write the name of the candidate or your question will be disregarded. All candidate remarks will be timed to ensure equal opportunity for everyone. Fatima and Kuni will raise signs to let you know how much time is left, so please stop promptly when your time is up. Please hold all applause until the debate is finished. There are many here who favor one person, and if we applaud each as they speak, we'll have less time for questions to be answered. At the end, we can give all candidates a rousing round of applause. We kindly ask that you turn your cell phones to silent right now. Okay, so let's begin with introductions. So you have 2 minutes. We're going to start with Ms. Jane Ahern. Please begin.
Good evening, and thank you to the Arab Student Union for participating in this, all the participants in here. Just by being here, you are advocates for civic engagement and civic participation, something I believe very deeply about. It's actually a sign of a very vibrant community, which I think we do have here in the city of Dearborn. I'd like to continue that in my leadership as your next city councilwoman. Basically, I'm president of the Dearborn Democratic Club, so you're speaking true to my heart when you talk about precinct delegates. If you want to talk about 20, I want to talk about 60, maybe 100. So you have a partner in me on that for sure. Basically, I got started because I was on the mayoral task force, one of 31 community leaders selected to be on that task force to help the mayor come up with a 5-year budget outlook, figure out what we're doing with this terrible economic downturn, and figure out what we're going to do with that $20 million structural deficit. Those 31 leaders selected me to be the Revenue Enhancement Subcommittee chairwoman. That led to a 3.5 millage increase, which led to the voters saying yes in 2011, which led to Moody's Investor Service taking us out of the city of Dearborn, negative long-term outlook into positive long-term outlook. That was a key decision for our city. Why was that so important? We told the world when we voted for that we're serious about our safety, we're serious about our services, and we're serious about doing what it takes to keep Dearborn a fantastic place to live, even during one of the worst economic downturns in the past century. I was selected because of my hard work with the neighborhood associations. I'm very actively engaged in that, as well as the umbrella organization. As a consequence of all that hard work, I've sat in on that budget process for each of the past 4 years, so I'm on the ground running. I hope you strongly consider voting for me. I will continue to state the case between now and November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tariq Beydoun, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, actually, we do need this. Thank you to the Arab Student Union for, again, hosting this very important forum. I believe the first one we hosted was in 2005. maybe Rashid can correct me if I'm wrong, that every 4 years since, so 2005, 2009, and now, we've seen the Arab Student Union continue to grow as an important element of a community that wants to put its young professionals, its young students at the forefront of the leadership in this community, because that's important. I was born and raised in Dearborn. My grandparents came here in the 1940s. My grandfather was a steel worker. My grandmother was a seamstress. We're a hardworking family. I graduated from Dearborn Public Schools, like I think almost all of you, or at least most of you did. I'm very proud of that. I'm a proud product of Dearborn. And this campaign is very important and crucial, because what we're going to be deciding is whether or not people like you, the young students and young professionals in Dearborn, want to live here, want to invest here, want to open up their practices here, want to open their businesses here, and want to grow their families here. And that's why I'm running. I want the answer to be yes, Dearborn. And my track record is important, and I don't like to talk about myself too much. 30 seconds already. But when I was here, I was the student government president 2 years in a row. We brought people from all across campus together. We got a lot done for the students. We gave the students a voice. I want to do the same thing on the student council. I want to give the people we serve a voice. I want a city hall that listens. We've been endorsed by a number of organizations that a lot of you care about. I'm involved in a lot of organizations and efforts, and I'm counting on you guys as an organization, but also as individuals in the general election, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beydoun. Mr. Bazzi, you may begin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here, and I appreciate being here as one of your elected officials. You guys should be proud of yourselves because, as I said 4 years ago, you're the future. You'll continue to be the future. I'm 55 years old. I've lived here my whole life. I actually graduated from this university in 1981. That might have been before some of you were born. And this place has really come a long way, and you guys have come a long way too. There was nothing like this when I went to school here. I was one of the few Arab Americans to be around here. My grandfather immigrated here in 1911. He was 13 years old. My father grew up here. I grew up here. Two of my sons have homes here. We're committed to this city. In fact, I'm so committed to the city that as president of Kenwall Steel, we spent $57 million turning in a dilapidated, outrun facility and making it a world-class manufacturing facility, saying, hey, you know what? We can still manufacture in Dearborn. We can still create jobs in Dearborn. I've created over 500 jobs in my tenure as Kenwall in 29 years, taking the company from $30 million to $1.1 billion in sales. My background is simple. I've been involved in recreation commissions, zoning boards, zoning board of appeals. I was the chairman of the charter commission, and now I've been your council person the last 3 years. Every day I go out in the community and I see people who are frustrated, and the most important thing that we have to all focus on is the neighborhoods in this community. The neighborhoods are not the same when I was a kid, a lot of reasons for that, but the basic necessity is Dearborn isn't about a building, it isn't about anything but people and neighborhoods. My commitment is to people and neighborhoods. My commitment is to you. When you call me, I email you back. As a citizen, you have a voice. That voice matters to me. And as long as I'm there, no matter what your age, no matter what your economic status, you can count on me being there for you. I've been endorsed by the police and the fire and a multitude of others that really don't matter. What really matters is the endorsement by you, the citizen. So hopefully when you go out and vote, you'll think about what I've accomplished, and you'll think about what we can accomplish together, and know I'm a lot older than you, but in a lot of ways I'm just like you. Thanks for having me here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Bazzi. Mr. Veja, you may begin.
Hi everyone, my name is Susan DeBaja. I want to thank ASU for allowing us the opportunity to come out here and speak. I think it's always wonderful when we have the ability to go out and meet a group of people, and you can go back and share it with your friends and family and let them know how you feel about the candidates that you saw tonight. I graduated from University of Dearborn, Michigan back in 2000. Back then we didn't have ASU, I don't believe, or at least if we did, it wasn't as functional as it is now, so I commend you guys. I did graduate from the University of Detroit Mercy School of Law, and over there we revived, or actually we reformed the Arab American and Chaldean Law Student Association. So I understand how important these groups can be as far as getting your voices out, getting your voices heard, and your concerns heard, so I commend you guys. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I was born and raised here in Dearborn. I graduated from Etzel Ford High School back in 1995. I have 3 children, and my oldest daughter's in high school right now, and I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old. I've been practicing as an attorney for the last 9 years, and during those 9 years, I've practiced in Dearborn. And that's allowed me to represent a lot of business owners and residents and listen to their concerns and their issues here in Dearborn. I'm a regular at 19th District Court, so I'm aware of what people feel or what their concerns are. And as a resident here, I also understand what it's like to grow up here and to raise your family here. I think it's really important that we have people on council that you can relate to. And that's what's key. And I'm talking not just about a background as far as your culture, but also about your age and your interests. At this point, I'm 36. I'm older than you guys. But I'm someone that you could come and talk to. So I hope that we open the doors for future positions for yourselves. You guys all seem like ambitious young people. Again, thank you guys for allowing us to come here, and please remember to vote.
Thank you. Mr. Dubkowski, 2 minutes.
Good evening. First of all, thank you for having us all here, including myself. I feel a little bit ill at ease at times being here at U of M because I graduated from Michigan State. So I think I'll get over it. I'm not here to really talk about myself. What I'm concerned with and why I'm running for City Council, I want to talk about the future of this community. We have the second highest tax property rates in the state of Michigan. The Free Press printed that, and that comes from official census tract data. We have also 40% of the children of Dearborn living in poverty. That's from census tract data and was printed in the Free Press in September. This community is in a process of evolving to something. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to be, but it's going to be different from what I experienced growing up in this community and what you have experienced growing up in this community. We have problems, and the basic problems are money. One of the contributing factors to the decline of Detroit and the pressure being put on every community in Michigan is the state of Michigan is balancing its budget on the backs of local government by reducing revenue sharing. And that's putting an emphasis on increasing taxes by local government to maintain their services. And given the situation that we have the second highest tax rate in Michigan, what I have heard from 2 different sources is that the city of Dearborn is contemplating and will move on after the election a city income tax. And that is a frightening future for us because I believe it will lead to a depopulation of working people in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. 2 minutes.
My name is Sharon Dalmage, and I also want to thank you for inviting us here tonight. I was probably your age when I got very involved in the community, and I continue to stay involved. I served as a trustee of Henry Ford Community College and Dearborn Public Schools for 22 years and have vast experience in public funding and grants. And one of the things I'm really proud of is that I answered every single email or every single phone call that I had the entire time that I was on that Board of Education and of Henry Ford and Dearborn schools. And I think that's really important because I want to say that not all the time were they pleasant. However, I listened respectfully and thanked people for their opinions regardless of how they were. Some of the things I've been involved in is the Chamber of Commerce in Dearborn. I'm really proud to serve on a clinical ethics committee. I think that says something about my character to be asked to serve on an ethics committee, which was quite a strenuous process to go through that. While on the Board of Education, some of the accomplishments that I was directly involved with was passing 2 huge bond issues, which was the renovation of all of our buildings in Dearborn and Fordson High School. Very proud to have been one of the people who moved to push to get Fordson declared a historical site so they couldn't ruin it in the future. Involved with the early college, the student liaison program, and many other programs at Dearborn schools. And also those whole 22 years I've been involved in the community, always, since I've been here. So I really commend you for being involved now, because I know you are our future leaders. Thank you again.
Thank you. Mr. Stern, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Mike Cerini, and I am a lifelong resident of Dearborn, and I am a father of 5 children. And I also been in these schoolrooms here at U of M because I went back to school at the age of 34. Today I'm 41, and I went back part-time, finished my undergrad here at Michigan, and then I went on to law school. So I did that on nights and weekends. I did it in less than 3 years. I graduated cum laude and passed the bar. But more importantly, what does that do for you guys? It shows you a commitment. That's what this election is really about right now. It's who can get something done, who can lead. And that's what it is. It's not doom and gloom and scare tactics. It's who can stand up when there's an issue, who can get the job done, and who has a track record of making things happen. While I went to school raising 5 children, I also finished number 3 in the country out of 35,000 plus salespeople in the country. Many of you guys have bought cars from me. So it's an ability to juggle work and keep your eyes on what's going on and not be distracted from things that really don't matter. But what matters is the city, how do we keep it moving forward, and what can we accomplish? I am honored to be on the ballot of the Dearborn City Council. I believe in public service. My mother has been serving our council and the city of Dearborn for 24 years. My brother Sam is a lieutenant commander in the United States Navy. He's been serving our country 19 years. He is right now aboard the USS Harry Truman. I believe in public service. I hope I can get your support because we need it so we can win.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Ms. Taylor. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Kristen Taylor, and I want to thank you all again, like everyone else, for having us out here. I'm 27. I'm the youngest candidate, and I was thinking on my way here that many of you have probably experienced something that I have experienced quite a few times in my ways that I've been working to get involved in my community. And that's sitting in a meeting with people as the youngest person at the meeting and having the people around you talk about how important it is to have young people involved, as if you weren't there already. What I'm here to tell you right now is that we don't have to wait for the invitation to get involved. We can be involved and we can make things happen and have a real impact in our community. And the fact that you guys are here for, I think, the 3rd time now, impacting the election is evidence of that and is so exciting because I want you to just continue to do it. And I want you to help me so that I can continue to do the work that I've done. Some of the things about me. I actually grew up in the Chicago suburbs. I moved to Michigan when I was 15 to a very small town near Jackson. I went to Eastern Michigan University for my undergrad, where I met my now fiance, and he grew up in Dearborn. But actually, right after I graduated from my bachelor's, which was in just 3 years, I moved to Virginia because I had no job opportunities in Michigan. And that's something that I know a lot of you guys might be facing now or in the next few years. And it's something I want to change for your future. Because that's not an option that Michigan graduates should have to face, is moving out of this state because there's nothing available. I'll tell you more about the stuff that I've done, but I just graduated from law school at Wayne State. I took the bar exam in July, and I've been very involved in Dearborn since I moved here in 2008 to make change, to bring voices to the table, and to bring new perspectives in that other people might not consider. And I'll tell you a little more about that. Thank you.
Thank you for all the introductions. We're going to go ahead and get straight into the questions. I'm going to read the question, and you're each going to have 1 minute to answer. I'm going to start with Ms. Kristen Taylor. City Council oversees city ordinance as well as overall manages the operations of the city. As you are aware, the city is experiencing financial difficulties in which the small businesses are most affected by. What is your plan to bring relief as well as retention to these businesses? You have 1 minute to answer.
Sorry, I have to hold my mic. That's a great question. We right now are in a situation where we have to find reasons and encourage people to move to Dearborn as residents, but also businesses. I open my Dearborn Patch and Pressing Guide online, and I see businesses leaving Dearborn just as often as you might see maybe then one looking to expand. And small businesses and businesses in Dearborn need to have a reason to stay. I've spoken to many business leaders who have told me they have one foot out the door. And a lot of that is because we have difficult ordinances. We also have what people see as unfair enforcement. And I think the City Council is exactly the first place to start in ensuring that we set the bar and are very clear about what ordinances we are keeping, review ordinances that really just don't make sense, and then set the bar for exactly how those are going to be enforced. I also think it's so important that we get online. We need technology. We can use it so much better than we are now, and we're doing a good job. We've been doing better every year. But did you know, as a resident, you can't go pay your water bill online? I don't know about a lot of you, but I don't really write checks, and I never carry postage. So I was late on my water bill almost every time. There's simple things that we can do to help our residents and our businesses get online, ease the work that it takes to work with the city, and also promote the best things that we have about Dearborn so that people know about it. They can come to Dearborn and we become a destination instead of just a place people drive through when they're going to another city. One thing that I think helps with that, I didn't mention this, but I have a master's degree in integrated marketing communications, and I got that from Eastern Michigan. And the whole purpose of that degree is to look at an organization like a city in a different way and understand more about how it communicates within itself, but also outside. Understand who it's trying to talk to and how to be creative about getting the message out. And so that perspective I can bring to this council that is very unique. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to remind the screeners that for these questions, it's 1 minute, not 2 minutes for the answers. Okay. I'm going to have to ask the same question again
Do
for
I get
Mr.
2
Mike
minutes?
Serini.
No.
Sorry. Do you want me to repeat the question?
No, I got
You're good?
it.
Okay.
Business retention. Here's how it works. It's simple. We got to stop looking at little issues and get to the big picture. The businesses cannot have stagnation. A lot of you guys are younger, but I've opened a few businesses. You call a plumber, you call an electrician, they found out you're in Dearborn, they don't want to do business with you because it takes too long. I had a customer call me that told me it took 6 months to change their sign on their business. You can't have stagnation. You have to have more efficiencies. That's very important. Another thing you got to do as a councilman is you got to be prepared. You got to know what you're talking about, and you got to do the research. You guys know that. You can tell who's not ready for class and who is. And I can tell you very clearly, these new ordinances that came out, similar like the garage ordinance, when you read it, it's bad. It's bad all the way around it. It's so bad that even if my brother had a classic 65 Mustang and asked me if he could store it in my garage so it doesn't get damaged, it's illegal by the ordinance. So instead of looking at ordinances that have nothing to do with anything, we need to look at how can we promote our business district and make it easier for them to strive and succeed. And we can do that when you do your research and know what you're talking about.
Thank you. The same question again to Ms. Sharon Delmage.
Well, I know the question has to do with business retention.
Do you want me to repeat it for you?
No, but first we have to give businesses here. They're leaving. Another one just closed, which I'm really sad about. Part of what needs to happen, obviously, is the streamlining the process of the permits and the ordinances as well. But we need to actively recruit businesses to come to Dearborn, and I think that is something that has not been done at all. As a member of the Dearborn Chamber of Commerce and an ambassador for the Chamber, the last 2 years they had a project where you could go knock on the doors of the businesses, which I have done all the way from, done both sides of Michigan Avenue, from Telegraph to Schaefer, and knocked on the doors of businesses asking them what we could do for them and find out what their problems are. And a lot of it is obviously the ordinances, but also we do not do a lot to keep them here, which I think it's all of our responsibilities to support our own businesses.
Thank you. For the next question, we're going to change it up, and this question goes to Mr. Steven Dubkowski.
Oh, I don't get that
No,
question?
you get a new question.
Oh, God, I had a good answer.
City Council recently took up a proposal that caused much controversy, specifically targeting Arab American residents on how they use their garage space. The proposed ordinance would limit how homeowners utilize their garages, as well as putting a halt to the furnishing of that space. Many residents feel this ordinance is overreaching and violates one's constitutional freedom of property. What are your thoughts or solution to such a matter?
Well, first of all, I don't think that ordinance is directed at Arab Americans. It is directed at enforcing existing building codes and safety codes and parking requirements. When a home is built, it has to have a couple of, I think, 2 off-street parking spots, whether it's in the garage or in the driveway. And when you alter your home without permission, without fulfilling zoning requirements and building code requirements, you're first of all creating a potential dangerous condition because your property is not being inspected by qualified inspectors. And second of all, it's creating a parking problem. I have in my own neighborhood a man who redid his brand new home, redid his 2-car garage into an apartment essentially, and his cars are on the street blocking snow plowing. And this is a problem, but it's not directed at Arab Americans.
Thank you. And the same question, Mr. Beja.
Well, as I stated earlier, I'm an attorney, so believe it or not, I've actually had to represent a few clients with this issue. And my representation stemmed up over a year ago, and that's sort of what prompted this new ordinance change. I've had the opportunity to review the ordinance that's being drafted. It's been through several versions. What I would tell you is that with my skill set as an attorney, I know that at least in reviewing new drafts of ordinances, I can give quality feedback as far as what should be and shouldn't be in these types of ordinances. Regarding the garages, I think that our city should not be overreaching. However, there is a safety concern. So issues just surrounding the furnaces or stoves being placed in there and potential fire hazard. Those are concerns that you have for our family, that the families that live there, the kids that live there, and neighboring properties. So those are things that should be addressed in the ordinance. However, I don't think that the city should be overreaching as far as allowing people what they can and cannot do as far as entertainment is concerned. Thanks.
Thank you. Same question.
Okay. Well, I'm the councilman that had that ordinance pulled back that was about to be voted on because I felt that there were things in that ordinance that were based on aesthetics and not based on the things that it should be based on, which is safety and parking. Mm-hmm. The ordinance requires that there is off-street parking for 2 vehicles. If you meet that, then what you do in your garage within the reasons of safety is kind of your business. We've been eating in the garage. I'm 55. When we were 8, 7, 6, 5, we ate in the garage, mostly because we didn't have air conditioning. And the garage was a lot cooler than the house at that time. All right, but so having the garage for some activities shouldn't be ethnic related because it really isn't ethnic related. There's all kind of cultures that go into the garage. The problem becomes one of is we can't overreach. It's not about aesthetics, it's about safety. So we have to make sure that the proper permits are pulled for what you're doing in the garage and that we follow those permits. If you want a clear door, you want a clear door. What's the difference between a clear door and the garage door open? None. All right, let's not talk aesthetics, let's talk about safety.
Thank you. We're going to move on to another question from Mr. Tarek Beydoun. What will you do to ensure that there is more policy presence in our neighborhoods to ensure our safety? Repeat the question. What will you do to ensure that there is more police presence in our neighborhoods to ensure our safety?
Well, first, thank you. Thank you for the question. I do have a policy proposal on businesses and other issues at dearbornplace.com, and I did want to address that question, but I guess I can do it in the closing with the garage issue. So, but on police, the city charter is very clear. The residents voted on it. It says that we're supposed to have 2.1 officers, sworn officers, for every 1,000 residents. That means we're supposed to have at least 205, arguably 206. There are 182 sworn officers on the force. That's unacceptable. When residents vote on something, they're the ones that are paying the taxes. We have to follow it. If we don't like it, we have to repeal it. In this case, there's no excuse for it. We did not cut the police budget. We handed a pot of money to the union, essentially, and I'm pro-labor, but this is not how you do negotiation. I think Mr. Bazzi will agree with you. You don't give a pot of money to a group of people, a small group of people, and ask them how you want to divvy that up. If faced between higher benefits and pay and cutting officers, they cut officers. We've got 23 less officers on the street. It's a fact. It's unacceptable. And frankly, we need to hold the elected officials accountable for that. And I intend to do that.
Thank you. Ms. Jane Aaron, same question to you.
As an active member of my neighborhood association, the Department of Justice was here in the summer to audit community policing. It's a standard audit, and of course, I believe that we received the community policing and puts about 20 officers on the street. And basically, Chief Haddad, due to my comments, he said that my comments, quote unquote, proved invaluable to keeping these police officers on the street. So that's the kind of leadership that I bring to the table when I represent you, when I represent the city of Dearborn. Community policing is huge. We have a very active block captain program in my neighborhood. I'm looking to move forward and get trained in CERT and have the people in the block captain program. That's the next phase, but you have to start somewhere. And we have a very strong, this is what I want to do. I want to take 12 neighborhood associations that are active and turn that into 37 active neighborhood associations. I want all of us to have a block captain program. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kristen Taylor, same question to you.
To be fair, do you want me to do 30 seconds? Because I got 2 minutes.
You can do
I'm
1
happy
minute,
to do that.
That's
okay.
fine, 1 minute.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so a lot of the numbers have already been put out. I don't have to repeat that. But it's important to recognize that where we stand right now, the contracts have been negotiated. And they probably won't come back up for negotiation. I don't know the exact date, but we could probably get that. So the council, as we walk into the council in January, we're not going to be walking to the negotiating table. We have to deal with the reality as it is today. And I think the council can help increase the presence of police by working with the communities to understand where the problems are and create coordination of efforts. If we can't put more police on the street tomorrow, then we can make sure that we're being effective in the way that our police are working and the way that we are working around our community so that everybody is safe, everybody understands what's going to happen if there's a problem and knows how to fix it. And then that we can all rely on our elected officials to be there when there is a problem and we can get through it together. Thank you.
Thank you. A new question for Mr. Serini. Do you believe the City Council made a right decision to purchase a new City Hall? Do you believe that the voters should have had more input via a ballot proposal?
As far as the City Hall is concerned, my opinion on it is based on the data that we have received. They are, as far as referendums and giving it back to the voters, I believe that should only happen in instances like taxes. I think you guys vote us in to make decisions. That's what we're supposed to do. The City Hall has plans. We've all been to it. A lot of us have attended the meetings. They are going to save $400,000 a year in saving costs. That's the numbers that they were given to us by the city and they've been produced. It's all over. So it's hard to look at it when you're sitting there trying to save and cut money and say, what's happening with this $400,000? But people are misinformed too. The City Hall is not sold. It's all contingent until the art space comes in there and is approved. Art space has been around longer than all of you guys have been born. They've been around over 40 years. We went to their proposals. It's a tremendous proposal. They have not had one failed project in over 35 years. They're going to put $17 million into the City Hall. As far as I'm concerned, if everything what they say is what it is, I think it's a good move for the city in the long run. But again, it's still not clear until everything is done on it, and it is not final yet.
Thank you. The same question to Ms. Dolmaj.
I have to say, at first, I was violently opposed to the movement of City Hall. And the more I learned about it and researched it and spoke with people about it and found out the cost savings by moving, the cost per square foot for operating, my experience as a trustee at the college came into play because we went through much of the same things with renovations, and there is no possible way that City Hall can be made energy efficient the way it is. It is much like the inside of Fortson High School where the ceilings all had to be lowered. Unfortunately, City Hall, that's not possible to do that in that building. And it's not very user-friendly. If you have to go from one end to the other, it smells in there. I'm sorry, it made me sick, the coughing. My allergies just flared like crazy in there. And the other thing that I want to say, the thing I like the most about it is that it is centrally located. I believe it breaks the ties between East Dearborn and West Dearborn.
Thank you. The same question to you, Mr. Dubkowski.
You have to understand something, that the taxpayers of the city of Dearborn are directly subsidizing art space. They're selling that property for $1.65 million. It is obviously worth much more than that. Hell, we got $5 million of city money in the Montgomery Wards project. The problem with the deal is that it's a tradition in Dearborn city government to think in terms of big projects. Big projects, whether it's parking structures, the youth center, water retention systems underground, they always run over cost. We are going to spend between the new City Hall and Art Space project and Camp Dearborn between $25 and $30 million, and we don't have it. That's why a city income tax is coming down the tracks, and it's going to depopulate this town.
Thank you. We have a new question for Mr. Baja. What is your assessment on the condition of our roads? Do you believe tax dollars have been equally distributed throughout the city, meaning west and east parts of the city?
Well, as far as our roads are concerned, I know that the major roads are county roads, and so they're, as far as their maintenance and replacement, that's the county's responsibility, and that includes Warren Avenue, Ford Road, Michigan Avenue. Our neighborhood roads, regarding the question you're asking, are they being allocated, you said?
Yeah, equally between east and west.
Okay. I'm not certain if they're being allocated equally between east and west. But if that's a concern, if that's a question that I'm assuming it's obviously a concern for someone. So, and if that's the case, I will, if I'm elected onto city council, I will definitely look into it. And I don't think it would be fair if it wasn't allocated evenly. East Dearborn residents are just as equal to West Dearborn residents and vice versa. So I would definitely look into something like that and ensure that all residents have equal representation throughout the city.
Thank you. Mr. Bazzi, the same question.
Well, the roads have been suffering here for a long time. The county roads are abysmal, whether it's Wyoming, whether it's Warren, those are all, and Wyoming's not scheduled for another 3 or 4 years. We just get used to more bad roads. As far as the city goes, the money is proportioned for each road, and it goes by need and use base. Some of the misinformation is instead of a CSO project in West Dearborn, and there probably should have been no CSO projects, but hindsight is always 20/20. They're now tearing up roads and doing sewer separations at a higher level in West Dearborn because those hadn't been separated out to a CSO. Some of those were also done in East Dearborn. And they'll continue to try to peck those off little by little as long as we can get some federal money and as long as we get some bond money that exists. In fact, when people talk about our high income tax rate, one of the reasons we have a high rate or high millage rate is 5 mills go to the CSO bond repayment plan, which the voters voted on instead of going onto their water bill. All right, so there's, misinformation exists all the time.
Thank you.
Sorry, I missed that the first time.
For Mr. Beydoun, do you believe Arab Americans are adequately represented and employed in the city of Dearborn? If yes, explain. If not, what would you do to promote more access for employment?
No, the answer is no, they're not adequately represented. And first I'll talk about what I've done. We brought together a team of lawyers and we've asked for information. And it's pretty clear to me that Arab Americans are either being discriminated against in hiring or they are not making the cut for some other reason that I don't know. Arab Americans are part of the city. Dearborn had a tradition of hiring city residents first. I think we need to return to that to the legal extent possible, and that's by providing preference points in hiring in police and fire. I've brought them together. I've continued to demand that of Councilman Bazzi and everyone else that we endorsed. I was on the endorsement committee of the Arab American Political Action Committee, and of course the Arab Student Union. Over the past 8 years, we've demanded this from our city government. We should be able to expect better. We think that Dearborn residents, qualified Dearborn residents, should have preference over equally qualified non-residents, and that more city outreach should occur so that we can get better applicants and more applicants from the Arab American community. But I think they're there, and I think that the time for excuses is done. We need to hear about the solutions, and to me it's outreach and it's contract negotiations that include preference for Dearborn residents.
Thank you. And the same question to you, Ms. Amy.
I looked this up before this forum. How'd you know? Basically, and I'll tell you why, because it's illegal to have residents as a preference when you're hiring in a municipal level. And what the Michigan Democratic Party's platform is why don't we go ahead and lobby the state government so we can have municipalities make their own decisions on whether or not they want to have their own residents in police and fire. So that's where I stand on that. I do know that during the Dearborn Federation of Neighborhood Associations, of those who are really active and engaged, Chief Haddad has addressed this, as well as Murray, the head of the fire too. And I think that they have great sensitivity. I know they have a lot of youth outreach to try and deeply encourage those going into public service. Police and fire is the top of the top. We're really lucky to have the kind of police and fire that we do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get a rebuttal? Because
We have closing remarks. You'll have a minute to make any remarks. Okay, now we're going to move on to the Q&A session. Each candidate is going to be asked one question from the audience. I'm going to start with Ms. Kristen Taylor. What are you going to do about the CSO project, which went from $42 million to over $370 million? Who's responsible?
Well, actually, the CSO project is on my street right now, and I have been lovingly dealing with it for about 2 months. It started the week of the primary campaign, and now we are 2 weeks away from the general, and it's still going. This is something that, and just a quick speak of the roads, when it started, I took a picture of the barrel on my street, and I said, here we go, and I posted it online, and someone who's not even from Michigan, a friend of mine from Illinois, commented on it and said, those are terrible roads. I was like, oh man, I didn't even realize that when I took the picture. Okay, sorry, 30 seconds. I'm answering your question. The CSO issue, it's gone way out of hand, and there is a lot of, there's not a lot of information out there about where the money's actually coming from and how it works and what we can expect to come. We can't just pay this 5 mils of bonds every year and continue to expect that we're working on a project ongoing and then it's suddenly going to cost us less money. We need more oversight. We need to do better. And we need to get the information out. And that is what my campaign has been all about, is communication, having active resident involvement. And I want to get that information as well.
Thank you. Mr. Ceriti, do you plan on addressing urban blight, which is littering and illegal dumping, in order to maintain a clean environment for residents and businesses residing there?
Oh, absolutely, without a question. Clean streets are a big issue, and if you guys know, this is part of what makes Dearborn so great, not only their public safety, but the cleanliness of the streets in the city. Well, what happened is during the budget cuts, they ended up taking our street sweepers, which was a government function done by the government, done by our employees. Well, what happened is they cut them out and subcontracted them. Went out and got a different company to do it. They did a terrible job. Their trucks couldn't do it. They couldn't handle the job. Their contract ended, and the city got rid of them. Now the city rented back machines, had to rent machines that they already had owned and sold to come back and do the same work that they should have left our people to do. See, the answer is not always just to cut everything. The answer is to get more on what you have. The answer is to ask the questions, get the right things done, and hold accountability to the department heads, the people who are run and appointed by the mayor. Those people are sitting in those departments and they're in charge. You can't just cut everything away and think that's going to help it, and that's what I will be definitely looking at. Thank you.
Thank you. For Ms. Dolmar, if elected, will you support adopting a human rights ordinance, one which protects the rights of all minorities, including women, disabled, and LGBT individuals for the city of Dearborn?
That's a great question for me to have, because I am a nurse and I primarily work with disabled and handicapped people. In addition, I also have a degree in business, so I've also ran buildings that housed residents of that type. Yes, absolutely. I'm involved in several women's groups, and I 100% support equal rights for women and for all people. Very active in organizations that have to do with people with disabilities, including physical and mental disabilities. So absolutely, 100% yes.
Thank you. Next question. Why does Dearborn give more attention to public areas in West Dearborn compared to East Dearborn? areas such as small parks, lack of public garages along the roads of East Dearborn, and specific warn and lighting along main roads?
Well, I'm the only candidate running for city council that lives in East Dearborn, and I've lived in East Dearborn my entire life. There's always been sort of a cleavage between East and West Dearborn. When I was a kid, the people living in West Dearborn were referred to as cake eaters. And so there was sort of a class difference, an income difference. But the problem we have in Dearborn now is a financial problem. There just is insufficient monies presently to reward every deserving neighborhood all the services that they need. We don't have the money. The problem is on the city council. They're a rubber stamp for the administration, no matter who's mayor. And I have to warn you that when you elect a slate of the mayor, you get a rubber stamp.
Thank you. For Mr. Beja, what are you going to do about the CSO project, which went from $42 million to over $370 million? Who is responsible?
You know, we were just having a discussion about that, and what needs to be made clear is that right now what's going on a lot of the streets, especially what you were calling with West Dearborn, is a sewer separation project, which is mandated by the federal government. They no longer want our sewage going into the rivers. So that's what's going on at this point. Again, it's mandated by the federal government, so we as a city are required to be doing this. We did vote for the millage that has been passed on to, that's part of our taxes. So as residents, we've agreed and we've voted on that. We've approved that. And again, because it's federally mandated, we do have to carry out and go through with the project. We've already started, and we need to complete it, and hopefully it'll be completed soon. I just want to make one correction. I am a second candidate that's also living in East Dearborn.
Thank you.
Stand correct.
Mr. Bazzi, if the city is in good financial state, why are 20 officers short against the wishes of voters?
Well, first of all, we all need to understand the legalities of a city charter versus a negotiated contract. A negotiated contract trumps a city charter. So the police officers and the mayor sat down as a team, and first of all, we don't negotiate contracts. We just put them through when they're done or disagree with them, either way. So from the standpoint is, there's never been, except for the highest number of officers we ever came to was 201. Last year at this time, there were 186 sworn in officers. Now there's 182. When they went to 12-hour shifts, believe it or not, there are more officers on the street today than there were a year ago. So the officers made some concessions. They went to 12-hour shifts. If you want to ask me afterwards why they did that, I'll be glad to tell you. Not right now, I won't. But it had something to do for them, and it gave something back to the city. So the community now is better off from a funding standpoint, and also better off with more officers on the street. The key is making sure the transitional number that we need, hold on one second, I apologize. What we really haven't done a very good job of is, as officers retire, having new officers come in. Baydoun said something very, very important. We need to hire more officers from the city. We've been on the chief and on the city every single day to hire more officers.
Thank you.
All right?
Mr. Baydoun, do you believe Arab Americans are equally represented in the Dearborn Police Department? Explain.
I think I already answered that question, but I'll continue. We have had 203 officers according to the Dearborn Patch, but regardless, we're supposed to have 205. The voters voted on it because the city council decided that they wanted the voters to vote on it, and they didn't want to pass it. The officers were for it, the union was for it, and everybody was for it. Now we're spending the same amount of money, but we have less officers. I don't want people working 12-hour shifts. I don't think that that's optimal. I don't think paying overtime to senior officers is more beneficial than hiring more Dearborn residents. It is not illegal to give preference to Dearborn residents. It's illegal to have a mandate that the police officers live in Dearborn. In fact, thanks to your activism and our activism, the last negotiation resulted in a contract that actually does give preference to Dearborn residents. And we're moving toward that goal of ultimately bringing more residents into the city hall. So yeah, it's a problem. And if anyone up here is going to make excuses, and I'm not saying that everything should be done by now, but if anyone else is going to brush this aside, we need to take that very seriously because it's a serious issue. Nobody cares more about Dearborn than Dearborn residents. And I think we can all agree on that, and the Dearborn residents do too.
Thank you. Ms. Aaron, if elected, will you support adopting a human rights ordinance, one which protects the rights of all minorities, including women, disabled, and LGBT individuals for the city of Dearborn?
Yes.
Would you like to elaborate?
I don't know how to elaborate on that. Yes, I'm a big believer in opening up civic engagement, civic participation, and having all of the residents be engaged and part of the city of Dearborn on every conceivable level. I'm really excited. As an example, if you look at the sidewalks and you see those I'm very glad to see that we're opening ourselves up in ways that we haven't in the past, and that really is smart leadership as far as I'm concerned. But yes, and yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Now for the last segment of the program, we're going to allow each candidate a 1 minute for any closing remarks, and we're going to start with you, Ms. Jane.
Once again, thank you very much for hosting all of us. As you know, I have some endorsements. I was endorsed by Congressman John Dingell. And the quote that he has is, "Jane cares about people. She cares about her community. She makes a great choice as your next city councilwoman." I also have the endorsement of APAC. I have the endorsement of a number of different organizations, including the Dearborn Democratic Club in the 12th Congressional District, as well as the UAW, the Michigan AFL-CIO, the Teamsters, AFSCME. I'm about working families. I'm about good living. And City of Dearborn is very unique in that capacity. We do a great job with good living. And I hope you consider me for your vote in November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bader.
Thank you again for this wonderful opportunity. I really think that the ASU brought some very important issues to the table that need to be addressed. And I would hope that we would be able to count on your support to continue pushing those issues. Those who have demonstrated the ability and the will to do so, and that's important. I wanted to close by saying that I'm running for you. I think that we have 900,000 square feet of empty grade A office space that should be filled with employers. Employers that want to hire people and want to house businesses here in the city. So I'm for a business incubator. I'm for repealing paid parking in West Dearborn. And I'm for a tax incentive to bring in new tenants and new employers into the city. I put forward, positive solutions at DearbornFirst.com. I'm happy to say that our campaign has put forward a lot of positive solutions and has had the courage to write them down so that you can know what to expect. So please visit the website. Please get involved in this campaign. This is a campaign for Dearborn's future and putting Dearborn first. And thank you so much again.
Thank you. Mr. Bazzi.
Well, first of all, you being here shows a lot. It's a commitment for you to come here, and it's a commitment to get involved and stay involved, because the more you stay involved, the more you become part of the community, the greater this is. I don't know about East and West. I grew up in an 800 square foot house. My parents moved from East Dearborn to West Dearborn because they couldn't afford East Dearborn. So they bought a little house my mother called the farm in the farmland, which was on Mayfair by Adre. So I don't know a lot about the divide. I kind of was a tweener. At the end of the day, I believe in this city. That's why I'm running. I'm also one of the few people that created jobs and created revenue. We're the 4th largest taxpayer in the city of Dearborn. We bring in $350,000 a year into this community from a place that was $40,000 a year delinquent in taxes. All right, that's our commitment to the city. That's my commitment to the city. I've sat on boards. We can talk about all the other things, but what really matters is you guys. You're the future. And what really matters is us getting our neighborhoods back in order. If we lose the neighborhoods, just one of them, we all suffer. All right, we have to get the neighborhoods. I'm committed to neighborhoods, and I'll be committed to you. I'm a lot older than you, but just think of me like your dad.
Thank you.
I'll yell at you too.
And me as your older sister now. Well, again, I need to thank ASU and for this opportunity, for giving us all this opportunity. It's really great. We've discussed several issues here tonight, but when voting, I think you need to vote based not just on the issues, really on the person. Because as a city council person, the person will be approached or would have to address many issues that we didn't even touch upon today. And so you have to look at all the candidates and figure out which 7 best represent you. As far as I'm concerned, I know that I've been out there, I've been very much involved. I've been involved with a lot of community groups and organizations. I've always been very vocal and passionate. My biggest investment in Dearborn is my family, and those are my 3 children. And I will do everything in my power to ensure that they grow up in an environment that will make them succeed and make them happy and make them want to live here in Dearborn in the future. And that's what I would work hard for you as well. With my skill set, again, as an attorney, with my passion, and with my ability to be vocal, I ask that you guys give me an opportunity and give me consideration on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to also thank you for being here. It's taking time out of your schedule, your personal lives, your study, and it's important that we as candidates are able to speak to people such as yourself. The future, your future, and this community's future is at stake in this campaign, as it is in every election. The future is what built this country. We're an unusual country in that we think of the future, not of the past. We're not European, we're not Asian, we're not African, we're not South American. We think as Americans to the future. You have a choice of what kind of people you have on a city council. I intend to be in City Hall 5 days a week, studying what is going on, being available for citizens. George Deraney as a city councilman did that, and I intend to do that. That was one of the best things he ever did as a councilman, and he's the only one that ever did that. Again, I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I also would like to thank you so much for having us here, and you are the future of Dearborn and the future of this country, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I also have the endorsement of Congressman Dingell, who said that Sharon has been a great public servant for many years, and I want to continue to be a public servant. I have never represented just one aspect of the community. I feel I've represented all members of the community and all ages of the community. My information is back here. There's more things that have been added to it since, but most importantly, I would like you to call me. My phone number is on all of my literature, and I do return every single phone call, and I'm happy to answer your questions, even if they're hard. I like the hard questions, so go ahead and ask them. Thank you again for allowing us to be here.
Thank you. Mr. Serini?
I just wanted to thank again the ASU, but more importantly, you can look at this election, of course, it's extremely important, but it's not a scare tactic. This thing is just basic. You can ask many people that have ran before, put up 5,000 signs, only got 2,000 votes. The bottom line is when you go in there to the ballot box, you have to be able to vote for someone who's a leader, not someone that's trying to scare you into voting for him. You need someone that's going to make decisions, that's dedicated, that knows how to get the job done. You can't be fooled with all these little ploys. You have to look clearly. And that's why at the end of the day, you look at the voting and you see who has the most votes and who wins the positions. The people that have the ability to get the job done, the people that have the leadership, and that's what we need in Dearborn. We don't need to talk about everything that's going to be bad. We need to find out how we can fix it. Everybody can tell you what's bad. Only a leader can tell you how to change it and how to fix it. I need your vote, and hopefully on Tuesday, November 5th, you will come out and vote for me. I need your support. My cousin is right there. We're trying to sign up people to vote on the polls, Mrs. Cadu. We need your support. Hopefully you guys will sign up. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Taylor?
Thank you to ASU and all of you guys for being here. I'm running for Dearborn City Council because when I started getting involved and trying to help save the local pools and bring the Dearborn resident voices forth in front of the city council, I have realized that we have a very strong breakdown right now in communication, and that has led to a lack of trust between the residents and the city. And instead of sitting by and waiting my turn at 27 and people told me not to do it, but I said, I'm doing this and I am going to be a part of the solution. And I know a lot of you are like that too, being a part of this type of an organization. And I decided to run, even though the whole 2 months before the primary, I was studying for the Michigan State bar exam. I took it the week before the primary, but I made it through because I've talked to people about what they want out of Dearborn, and I've shown that I can be the person that will open the lines of communication, the person that you can come to and disagree with, but have an actual conversation with, so that we can start to bring solutions and be creative about these problems, and we can move forward together. So I hope you vote for me on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. So this concludes the session for this forum. I want to thank all of the candidates for coming and taking the time to answer our questions. I want to thank all of you guys for coming. We have literature and lawn signs in the back for anyone who's interested. And just a reminder, anyone who's not registered to vote or knows someone that's not registered to vote, see one of the ASU members for a form. We have refreshments in the back, and I want to thank you guys all for coming.